experience is also what's gone into the product. You see, like the hi-fi, it actually costs a lot to make that hi-fi. To make the experience, it costs a lot of money. So to make a quality education program costs a lot of money because you need a lot of people working on it. To accredit a program, to write the program, to put up buildings to do it with. So you've got all these bits and bobs, and they all add to the experience. Yeah. But the commodity is basically €3. And again, I've used the flag there just because most Dutch, you see, look, there's no Dutch flag here. There's all the orange bits, which is basically because, like, you know, the orange is the House of Orange is the royal family. But there's no Dutch flag here because the Dutch flag is quite confusing because it looks a bit like the, I don't know, Russian flag or the French flag, or there's lots of red, white, and blue, isn't there? Now we're just going to now compare, as I said, the video about Holland going to go and visit Holland, let's say, to the one about studying Holland. Yeah.
So, are you considering studying abroad? You want to expand your horizons, encounter new cultures, and explore new territory, while earning an internationally acclaimed bachelor's or master's degree. You've got your mindset on an inspiring city, Sydney, Beijing, New York maybe. But then why would you go straight to the source? The Netherlands. What? The Netherlands, inhabited with, on average, the tallest people in the world. If you haven't heard much about them, it's probably because their motto seems to be, let's not pretend to be bigger than we are. The first thing you need to know is that the Netherlands is also known as Holland and is inhabited by Dutch-speaking people who also speak English. Confused yet? Well, the reason they speak English so well can be partly explained by the fact that they've been wandering all over the globe since the 16th century. Holland was the economic and cultural centre of the world. They established a vast trading network, opened their first university in 1575, and even laid the foundations for contemporary New York City, which was called New Amsterdam back in those days. Curious? Let's take a closer look, shall we? Just who are these tall, internationally minded entrepreneurs living at the heart of Europe? At first sight, the Dutch are uncomplicated, but in a rather complicated way. Johan Cruyff, their most famous soccer player, once said, "Every disadvantage has its advantage." He managed to bring soccer to a whole new philosophical level. This remarkable, say, out-of-the-box approach to analysing and solving problems is something they put to good use in the 14 research universities and 40 universities of applied sciences around the country. The Dutch democracy is home to over 190 different nationalities living in its many cities and villages. One has to admit that the Dutch are generally open-minded, freedom-loving and tolerant towards foreigners. All told, the Dutch take a very broad view of life, at least in their mind, because their tiny homeland measures only 300 kilometres from north to south and 170 kilometres from east to west. Still, even though the country only covers a 0.008% of the Earth's surface, they have the 16th largest economy in the world. That must be the reason why they drink 136 litres of coffee a year, making you wonder if they ever sleep. Because 2/3 of their country lies precariously below sea level, the Dutch long ago developed a survival through consensus concept that is now commonly known as the polder model. Within this concept, people from all walks of life are encouraged to contribute their opinion when it comes to national problem solving. This philosophy has served them well in holding back the sea. They turned into supreme masters of just about anything connected with water. Their 17,000 kilometres of dikes have approximately the same length as the Great Wall of China. But far beyond water management, the polder model has also created a fertile environment for developing innovative technological solutions to many of the problems facing the modern world. Over the centuries, the Dutch have produced many progressive artists, writers, philosophers and scientists. Today, architects architects and designers in the Netherlands have come together under the collective name of Dutch Design, and their influence is felt all over the globe. You can also find evidence of the Dutch love for sharing opinions in their approach to teaching. In the 1,400 different English study programs around the country, they create an open, informal environment in which students and teachers share and debate new insights. For the Dutch, it's much better to debate a question without settling it than to settle a question without debating it. Dutch academics have established a reputation in a range of scientific disciplines, such as nanotechnology, renewable energy, medicine, water management, and architecture. The country's higher education programs offer great diversity, high-quality education, and excellent research opportunities in an international environment. Dutch researchers are among the most productive in the world, which helps make Holland one of the best-performing countries worldwide. So, on the downside, you'll be spending this next period of your life on a bike in a flat country below sea level, but on the upside, you'll be inspired by great culture and intellectual challenges. And you'll return home with a high-quality international bachelor's, master's, or PhD degree in your pocket. So I would almost say, if it ain't Dutch, it ain't much.
So the Dutch, yeah, we'll wait. So the Dutch are selling their study in Holland very similar to selling their overall come to the Netherlands. But they're obviously linking into higher education very clearly, showing what's the best bits of Dutch research. And at the end, they mentioned that, you know, all the wonderful things you had from your experience in Holland, and then you go away with a top-notch degree. And it's amazing to see how the experience of being in the Netherlands is used so clearly in the marketing campaign for studying in Holland. There's not a single university mentioned, or there's not a single, just generally all the universities of applied sciences. And they're just marketing purely the experience. So, again, about me again. Has anyone read Harry Potter?
Yes.
Yeah. Lockhart. Well, I thought of this when I said about me again, because he said that quite a lot. Of course, his name is Zlatopus Lockons. And of course, that was the thing. He kept promoting himself. Everywhere you went, you saw pictures of him. So, you know. Anyway, about me again. My basic entrepreneurial career progression. And it's interesting because I never really put this down until I made this presentation. But you can see that I went from theatre company and performing arts centre through London pub in Switzerland, new Italian restaurant concept in Holland. I had a cleaning company which we don't talk about too much. I've had publishing and consultancy and website development company which we still do. And now I'm on the board of a private Dutch University of Applied Sciences. And the funny thing is that it's being, so I'm, you know, if I always joke that I'm the president, but I'm not really the president, I'm just the chair of the board. But running Wittenborg, University of Applied Sciences, is amazingly similar to running my theatre. You know, because your teachers, they're just like actors. Your staff are just like all support staff in the theatre. Your students are just like in the theatre, all your customers coming in and expecting an experience. If they don't get the right experience, then you've got it wrong, and they'll tell everybody about how bad the experience was, and you won't get any more people coming to... Anyway, you can see how... So I realised that the experience in all my entrepreneurial things has been really, really quite important. Now, Birdsall, University of Applied Sciences. So it's established in 1987, but you can see from my presentation that I was doing other things in 1987 with a beard and all the rest of it. It's Wittenborg is a private foundation trust university, and my family is now the trustees of the university, and we have 2 campuses in the Netherlands. We're going to be opening a campus in Vienna next year. That's insider information. But at the moment we're based in the city of Apeldoorn, which is in the centre of the Netherlands, and we have a small campus in Amsterdam. We have some really big friends, which is useful when you start companies or when you take over companies like this one. We've worked together with a very large college in Apeldoorn, so we share big accommodation with 5,000 to 7,000 students in Apeldoorn. This is our part of the building, and behind it there's a big college. We've got our own building on the other side of the railway station, which is for master programs, and we have a floor in this building in Amsterdam next to the central station. But we work very closely together with the British University, the University of Brighton, with which we offer Master of Science programs and double degree programs as well. But we also have our own programs in business, management, hospitality. We've got School of Business, Hospitality and Tourism, and from 2016 we're going to be offering programs in clean technology and in sport and care. We've got a Master of Science in Sport Business Management starting in September, and it's a UK Master of Science, but you study it completely in Holland. We've got about 500 students at the moment, 520 students this year, probably 600, and we have over 70 nationalities, so you can imagine it's very, very international. We don't offer anything in Dutch. All the programs are in English. And, I mean, I'm talking to you now as an entrepreneur. It's great fun. I mean, it's a wonderful company to run. I've been involved with Wittenborg since 2002, and we've been on the board since 2007. And one of the things I was asked recently, I was interviewed by a national magazine about my career and my life and what it was like to be running a Dutch University of Applied Sciences as an English-Swiss person. And I was asked, but you're an entrepreneur, are you going to stop this soon and get on with something else? And I thought about that, and I thought, well, actually, this is a long-term project. I'll be there for a long time. But we can do other things while we're running the university. So we see ourselves as a truly multicultural. We've been excellent in tutoring and support, all programs fully in English. And we call it a British-style higher education in the Netherlands. And actually, most of our bachelor students get a British degree and a Dutch degree, and our master students also get a British degree if they do the Master of Science program. Now, this is the answer that I gave to the journalist. I said to him, look, yeah, the thing is, as an entrepreneur, I do get bored. Luckily, I've got 70 or 80 or 90 people that all work for me, and I've got time to spend on other projects as well. So we've produced a book. The book is called Whiskey Burn. It's another family thing because it's written by my cousin Ben Birdsall, who lives in Switzerland. He's an English cousin living in Switzerland. That's quite confusing. And he wrote a book about the whiskey of the Highlands and Islands of Scotland. So it was about the types of whiskey, the tastes of whiskey. It was about the companies who are running the whiskey distilleries. Because honestly, I don't know if you've ever tasted whiskey, but whiskey is, whiskey. But it's the most amazing product. I mean, it's a commodity again, and they are selling an experience. They're selling the whiskey experience. And people are buying, they're paying $50 to $60 to $70 a bottle because of the experience. And the cost prices, again, it's like coffee. And it's the most amazing. And of course, the storage time. So you can see, if you want to find out more about Whiskey Burn, it's www.whiskeyburn.com. If you need a present for your dad or for your mum, send me an email. I'll give you, a special price. And on the site, there's a nice thing about the making of the book. The book, I've now got 2,000 copies of a very expensive book that I now need to sell around the world to people via Amazon and also via the website, but I'm also trying to sell them to the distilleries for their visitor centres. And of course the link with the university is the university published the book, because it's all part of hospitality, of course, you see, but it still gives me the opportunity to be an entrepreneur. As my illustrious ancestor, relation, once said, you know who he is, Winston Churchill, but there is a chance, 99.9% chance that I'm a blood relation to this man, but the only way we can prove it is we need to dig somebody up and test them, and they won't allow us to do it, so I just pretend. But he said, my most brilliant achievement was my ability to be able to persuade my wife to marry me. Which in my case is very true, because this is the boss of Wittenborg. She's CEO of Magifane. So if you hook up to her on the internet and say, I saw your husband presenting in Moscow, he was awful. Send somebody else next time. That's it. Thanks. Are there any questions? I'm sure you're dying to ask questions. Yes?
Do you speak Dutch?
Ik spreek goed Nederlands. Yeah, I do. I speak Dutch. Actually, my Dutch is, I learned it very, very quickly, but the reason that I speak good Dutch is because I grew up speaking Swiss German from my mother. And the thing is, the Swiss German, yeah, has all the r and the sch that you need in Dutch as well. So, and most English people can't do it. And Germans can't say the sch or the r very well either. But the Swiss can, so I learned Dutch. Yeah. And it's one of those, you know, it's great to speak a language that only 15 million other people speak. You know, it's just so weird. You know? You speak a language that almost nobody speaks on the planet. I tried to speak Russian, as you heard earlier. It's very difficult. Any other questions? Yes?
Talking about a unique experience at Wittenborg, what experience do you promise to the, say, international students? Like, what is your unique experience that you could offer?
I think the unique experience that we offer is the fact that we are a small institute, and we are a very inspiring institute. So we try to get a lot of people, you know, doing like I'm doing, telling their experiences, trying to match what they've done in their work outside of education to the education programs. The international classroom is something we can guarantee. So our students, we can guarantee students that they will have 15 to 20 nationalities in one room. And that is a unique experience in the Netherlands, but also in most international programs. We speak English from top to bottom, so every person who's employed, whether they're cleaning or whether they're managing or teaching or doing administration, operates in English. We don't have any programs in Dutch, so that makes us unique in the Netherlands. But I think it's that student support and that student personalised. So students will arrive, we have them picked up from the airport, we have them brought to their accommodation, we arrange the accommodation for international students. They stay in apartments, sharing with other students, or they have their own self studio type thing. They can choose beforehand. You know, I think that that's it's being small. We can do that. You know, we try to make sure the students get a feeling that they've joined a club as well as joined a university. And I mean, you know, we do joke. It's a bit like Hotel California. You enter Wittenborg, but you never leave. And we do try to keep good contact with people who've left, with our alumni, with people who have gone on to other things, gone on to other universities. So I think a lot of universities will say that. But because we're small, we can be a personal institute. And every student knows who I am. I don't know every student. I have to be, you know, I don't know every student totally personally. But if any student comes to me and says, hey, I'm, you know, whoever from Moscow or from Kazakhstan, from from Beijing, and I will interact with that student and spend some time to find out what they do and how they go. And that's the same for everybody. It's the same for Maggie, it's the same for all the other people. And we try to involve students in all the projects we do as well. For instance, Whiskey Burn, obviously there's no pressure because we've got a lot of Islamic students as well who might not be interested in selling whiskey books, but we have a lot of students who find that very interesting and find the whole process interesting. So we just had a big exhibition in Amsterdam of all the whiskey distilleries. It's called the Holland Whiskey Experience, and I think we had 20 to 30 students who were involved in helping organise that event and actually getting involved in the product that their university has created and being part of the sales process and all the rest of it. So maybe that makes us a little bit unique. Thank you for the question.
What kind of clean technologies do you provide?
Yeah, the clean technology is, we've just completed a very large European project, an Interreg project, it's called GREAT, the GREAT project, growing renewable energy sources for small to medium-sized enterprises. And we've been working together with Scottish, Irish, English and Belgian research units and universities to develop models that can help small to medium-sized enterprises develop clean energy usage. So as part of that program, we've developed a bachelor in business administration that's focused on technology management and has a major focus on technology management from the perspective of clean technology. And we have an MBA in clean technology management, which we've written as part of the GREAT project. And at the moment, we've got 5 tenders out. We call them tenders when you're applying for European funding for 5 different energy projects that will see us doing energy research now for the next 2, 3, maybe 5 years. So it's basically the clean technology programs are directly linked into European research projects, so that students can be involved in projects from the moment that they start their studies.
Like solar or?
Yeah, they do. We looked at. For instance, we did research into whether small to medium-sized companies should be focusing on using solar energy, wind energy, ground energy, borehole energy, and it was very, very interesting. It showed mainly that wind energy is something that companies should not be considering at all. That wind energy was something which is lost